Good morning and welcome to our monthly Revenue Study Committee meeting. We are here in the Harry Pate building, and at this time we'll get approval of the minutes from the September 16 meeting.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll give a shout out to LaShonda Blue and Paul Sheffenville for doing an outstanding job on last evening with the Board of Commissioners.
You mean Ed?
Huh?
You mean Ed?
And I apologize. Okay, for presenting last night the information, I apologize for getting the names confused, on last evening. And that brings us up to our current agenda for today, which is the beach parking update, which that's where Paul's name comes in at.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
apologize.
So I think I've given you all a chart that shows the projected revenues we came up with. To step back a little bit, this was first kind of brought up to us by Commissioner O'Quinn as a way to try and fund some of the beach safety improvements at East Beach. As everybody knows, Gould's Inlet has become more dangerous after the two hurricanes came through, and the lifeguards aren't able to currently patrol that. They don't have the equipment, they don't have walkie-talkies that'll reach down there, and one of the impetuses for this was with all the rescues and, unfortunately some fatalities that had happened. Commissioner O'Quinn wanted to look at a way we can potentially raise some revenue and help get more lifeguards and make it more safe out on the beach. And throughout this process, I got to thank Ed Farley and Anna Trapp for the work they've done with me, just helping to get all these figures together. And it's been a real workhorse getting all of the information we need for this, preparing the spreadsheet that we kind of based everything off, and Ed for reaching out to people and really working with me on these numbers and getting them down to what I think is a really good projection. And I also want to thank Commissioner O'Quinn, who has been very accessible to us, very helpful as well. Scott McQuaid at the Golden Isles Convention and Visitors Bureau, who gave some good hard numbers, and we also got some good hard numbers from Ryan Moore at the Golden Isles Development Authority. And we've been in touch with a lot of people throughout this process, and I just wanted to say up front thank you to everybody that's been involved, even if you're not in this room today. In terms of the parking revenue, the actual revenue from parking itself, the projection that we have comes out between $312,000 and $321,000 in annual revenue. That's paid year-round parking at Coast Guard Beach and Massengale Park. The starting point we had on this was a 2014 car count that was paid for and done by the Convention and Visitors Bureau. It really had some good hard data. They counted cars Thursdays through Saturdays from June to September in 2014. And they also recorded whether tags were from Glynn County or outside of the county, which was really helpful because one of the assumptions in this is that there's going to be no charge for beach parking to residents of Glynn County. And I know that's been a big concern of people, especially those who have been going to the beach for lots of years, but this current projected revenue does not include a fee for parking for Glynn County residents. So with that in mind, we were able to take the numbers from 2014 and look at the non-Glynn County cars as a proportion of overall cars in the lot and see how much we could expect to bring in from them. And we used the capacity figures from that study to try and project what would happen in the months that were not covered by this study, because they did 4 months of the year. We're trying to project all 12 months. We ultimately kind of decided that each space could likely produce $10 per day in revenue, and we talked about this. You can get that at that several ways. You could do $1 an hour and have people stay for 10 hours, or you could have a potentially a higher rate such as $2 per hour and cap it at $10 per day. So it's multiple days of getting at that $10 per day that each space would produce when full. But just looking at the chart itself, we kind of, you'll see that there's spaces in the lots. We've gotten different figures from a lot of different people on what there are out there. We kind of went on the conservative end. You can probably fit more people, more than 250 cars at Coast Guard Beach and more than 100 at Massengale. We went conservatively just because we don't want to overestimate, and, the parking there is dependent on people parking well, which we know doesn't always happen. So, but anyways, from those figures, we took the percent, as you can see, the percentage of non-resident cars per month was about 77.5% at Coast Guard Beach and 81.5 at Massengale. So taking those numbers, we kind of looked at it over 3 different periods. There's a May to September, which is actually the peak season where you expect the most cars to be there. We then have expected cars for April and October, which are not peak, but are not quite as quiet as the off-season. Then we have the November through March kind of off-season with lower figures. So, and the second page of this actually shows the capacity numbers, some of which were from the car count, some of which we expanded upon for the days and months that they did not cover. So that's kind of why we projected higher income in the peak season and the, I guess, semi-peak season, and then lower for the off-season. But as you can see, the projected revenue from that comes to about $312,565. And that's on the first spreadsheet. The second chart, the one on the bottom here, kind of shows a projected increase based on the increasing visitors to St. Simon's Island. And the third page of the sheet I handed out kind of shows that. Basically, between 2014 and 2019, this is based on overnight visitors, and this data was provided by the CVB. There's been a 19% increase in overnight visitors to St. Simon's Island, whereas the county population has expanded by about 3.8% during that same time frame. So, in theory, you would expect that there would be more beach visitors because of that, or at least more beach visitors from out of the county. So, the second chart here tries to project what might happen if what we believe is true, that there's more visitors coming from out of the county and visiting the beach. So, revenue's a little bit higher on that one. The other thing, the second to last column is annual fine revenue. This is probably the most difficult to pin down because we got a lot of good data. Again, thanks Anna for doing that. But this is kind of community specific. We found a range from anywhere between about 8% and 25% of parking revenue is collected as fines. We just picked 15% as a kind of midpoint. Again, this is probably the kind of least supported number we have on there. We just had to estimate this the best we could. But as you know, there would be additional fine revenue from people not paying for their parking spaces. There will have to be towing, especially because one of the other things that would likely have to be implemented at the same time if parking fees were as a parking ordinance for neighborhoods surrounding the beach, and a real buy-in by the county to enforce that and make sure that people aren't just parking all over the neighborhoods around the beach in order to save a few bucks. But so there are things that would have to happen in conjunction with this. There would be startup costs and getting all the equipment. Right now, Commissioner O'Quinn's kind of looking into that aspect of that. But I was going to open it up to questions, but I think if we ultimately agree on the numbers, I think the best thing to do is kind of adopt these findings as the report of this committee, and then leave it to Commissioner O'Quinn to see where we go from there.
Yeah, I think there was some conversation, or people that had talked about having this work with the master plan, and I've, outside this committee, volunteered to help with that. But it's basically in Commissioner O'Quinn's hands of how he's going to proceed forward with the other commissioners. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding too.
So today we just need to agree to adopt the findings and present to the Board of Commissioners?
Right, yeah, just adopt this as our committee's report, and then we'll
So move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? We will present the beach parking potential revenue spreadsheet to the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah.
Any other?
At Commissioner O'Quinn's
And Commissioner Quinn.
request, yeah.
Yes. Any other comment on the beach parking update? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ed. Y'all did a great job researching and getting that data information for us. The next thing on our agenda is the fees paid to the fire department by the airport commissioner. Ms. Blue put it in her little notes to us, and speaking with Ed and back and forth, give us some insight because we thought it was an internal issue.
I agree that I do believe it's an internal issue, but Chief Jordan presented this information concerning the fire department and the airport commission. He wanted to kind of just put this on the table concerning, what is paid annually to the fire department as well as what they spend for staff and, what they're contributing. I would like to get more information. At this time, we don't have it from Chief Jordan, so I just say that maybe we can revisit this when we have more information concerning this.
I would suggest the next meeting, Chief Jordan come and address the topic to us.
Okay.
So we'll be inviting Chief Jordan to our next meeting, which will be November 18th.
Okay.
Okay, so for clarification, the fire department, they're paying annually and the airport is not paying, or
Well,
airport?
I think what they
Paying
have is,
share.
yeah, they're not paying their share.
He's saying.
Right, but who's not paying their share? I mean,
The airport commission, and I do, this is information that was passed on to me.
Okay.
And I just, I do say that we should have him to come in and, discuss the topic.
we all agree that Chief Jordan should be invited to our next meeting to bring us some insight on the fees that he's
Correct.
discussing with the fire department air commission.
Yes.
Okay? Next, any other discussion on the fire department and the airport commission? If not, item number 4, what's our new project? Alan Alves is not here to say, did the commissioners mention anything?
They are going to make comments on the presentations that we made in the work session, and I guess they'll go from there as far as voting and just making their comments or deciding.
In relation to that, I've talked to Lisa Garganis, who just left, and she's going to put together a list of action plans from our presentation, broken down, ones that can be implemented right away, ones that can be implemented right away that's going to need commissioner's approval, and those, because of COVID, we're going to hold off on and revisit first quarter of 2021. And we'll submit that list at our next meeting to the Revenue Study Committee to approve that. I will then send out a letter to the chairman
Of the Board of Commissioners?
of the Board of Commissioners from the Revenue Study Committee.
Right.
And another item I want to bring up concerning the service calls, the lift assist. Originally, I think the proposed date was September 1st, that we were going to send out notices to all the facilities and nursing homes, but, due to COVID restrictions and regulations, we missed that deadline. So I guess we need to come up with another deadline as far as getting that information out to
January
everyone.
1st, I would think.
I'm
By
sorry.
January 1st.
January 1st?
January
Yeah,
1st, okay.
I think January 1st
Yeah,
is
it's
good,
doable.
new target date to get information to the
Who would send that out?
facilities and nursing assistants.
I do not know who
Okay.
would send it out. I can get with Chief Jordan and find out who would send it out. The
Or Alan
notices.
Alves,
Well, oh, okay. That, yeah.
the county administrator.
Okay.
I would think, I would think the admin.
Okay.
But I can confirm that.
Okay.
If we find that out, it'd be great, but I
And
think
so-
we should shoot for January 1st.
Okay, and then maybe we can have a draft, like, they could submit a draft to us so we can just see what it looks like.
Sure.
and, Okay.
And then maybe we just reach out to Mr. Hours in between now and our next meeting, see if he has any ideas on other projects we might be looking to take up next.
Because in the past, our projects came from Mr. Alves and also from the county commissioners they sent in. So they have not sent anything else in to Zena.
Not to my knowledge, but I can confirm with him after the presentation. They might have said some things to him, no price, I haven't heard yet.
I'd just like to note for the record, in the presentations yesterday to the county commissioners, by the time they got to the last couple of presentations, everybody was pretty tired. They'd been through, it was a long two hours plus, and I would hope that next time we would be able to have the luxury of not only time, but also more at the middle or the beginning of the agenda so that people are alert. And I understand they had a lot of very critical topics, and particularly as you're getting closer to the end of the year, some things had to be resolved. But I would hope next time we have a little more clear space to give a presentation. Just to note for the record.
I like fresh ears also.
But that's what I was getting
Fresh
at.
ears, fresh mind, time to process. Okay. Any other subject we need to bring today?
I don't think so.
Nothing else, this meeting is adjourned until November the 18th at 9 o'clock a.m. face to face.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.